Hello and welcome back to the Wrestling Group. I am your host, as always, Ryan, and today we are going to be looking at the top 5 matches in Full Gear history. Now, there have been 5 Full Gear pay-per-views so far in AEW, with the first being on November the 9th, 2019. And each of the pay-per-views have brought us some absolute fantastic matches. But what are the best matches in the pay-per-views history? Well, join us as we rank them from 5 down to 1. And as always, feel free to leave your 5 in the comment section below. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button while you do. So in at number 5, Death Triangle versus the Elite in the Best of 7 Series Match 1, Full Gear 2022. Now, after the Elite won the Trios tag titles at All Out in September, a backstage altercation with CM Punk led to them being suspended and then being stripped of those titles. In the meantime, Death Triangle won the Trios titles, which had fans hoping for a match between the two factions when the Elite returned. What they got, though, was much better. They in fact got 7 matches. This match at Full Gear was the return of the Elite to AEW, with many fans excited and expected a win in their return match. Some chants of F CM Punk were quickly squashed and forgotten about as the fans' attention moved solely to the action inside the ring. Omega and the Bucks were clearly enjoying being back, and all 6 men went to work on delivering a match of great quality. Near the end of this one, Pac tried to get Rey Fenix to use his weapon of choice, the ring bell hammer, to finish off Kenny Omega. But Fenix said no, and he almost paid the price, but somehow he managed to kick out after taking a vicious V-trigger from Omega. Another melee followed, and Kenny hit the V-trigger once again, and this time picked up Fenix for the one-winged angel. Fenix, though, this time decided to embrace the bastard Pac's methods and nailed Omega in the head with the hammer, helping his team to pick up the first victory of the series. This was obviously a shock to fans as they expected the Elite to go 1-0 up in the series, being at their return to the company. This match also set the standard of matches to come, and the series did not disappoint. So in at number 4, FTR versus the Young Bucks Tag Team Championship match Full Gear 2020. This was a dream match many fans had wanted to see for years. The Young Bucks had taken tag team wrestling to new heights on the indies in the likes of Ring of Honor, New Japan and PWG. Whereas FTR, under the name The Revival, dominated WWE's NXT brand and were being compared to some of the greatest tag teams of the 80s. After FTR debuted in AEW in June of 2020, they quickly found themselves in the tag team title picture and defeated Kenny Omega and Hangman Page to become AEW tag team champions. They then entered into a storyline with the Bucks, and the dream match was announced for the Full Gear pay-per-view. The match itself was 30 minutes of truly great tag team wrestling. Both teams got to show just why they were considered to be 2 of the best tag teams in the world of professional wrestling at that time. FTR's catchphrase of no flips and just fists came back to bite them hard at the end of this match. They prided themselves on not having to do the flips and high-flying wrestling that had become popular for teams since the rise of the Young Bucks, but after FTR had tried and failed a few times to end the match, Cash Wheeler decided to go against their usual moniker and went to the top rope to attempt a 450 splash. but Matt Jackson connected with a super kick for the pinfall and to win the AEW Tag Team Championships. This was not only a great match, but it was also a great use of the in-ring storytelling to conclude the match. FTR had tried everything that they normally do and weren't able to put away the Bucks. Obviously, the Bucks being a higher caliber of team than what they'd faced previous. So they went against the grain, taking that last-ditch hope effort to hit what they call a high-flying move, and it backfired massively. So in at number 3, Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship at Full Gear 2021. The history of Kenny Omega and Hangman Page goes back years, from their days in the Bullet Club and the Elite together on the Indies to them holding the AEW Tag Team titles together in 2020. In fact, this match at Full Gear was a rematch from the Full Gear the year before. Omega had picked up the victory in that match, which was the final of an AEW World Championship tournament. A full year later, and with Omega now as the World Champion, Hangman would get his chance to even the score. Omega was fully into his heel run at this point with Don Callis in his corner, and as you might have expected, Don decided to get himself involved in the match on a number of occasions. During this 30-minute classic, there were a number of close calls from both sides. Omega was booked as a strong champion, and rightly so. He was the very tippy top in professional wrestling. AEW had protected his one-winged angel finisher since joining the company with no one having kicked out of it. Many fans had expected Page to be the very first to do so, but instead Hangman reversed Omega's attempt and nailed him with a one-winged angel of his own. But of course, Omega kicked out. He would not be defeated by his own move. At this point, we see the Young Bucks come down to the ringside, and they were telling the story of being torn between two of their best friends. Hangman hit a buckshot lariat to the back of Omega's head, and then Hangman got onto the ring apron once again, steadying himself, gave a little telling nod to the Bucks, and nailed Omega with another buckshot lariat, this time from the front of Omega, and he covered him for the victory and to become, for the very first time, AEW World Champion. To be fair, the match from the year before was also very close in making this list. So we'll move on to number 2. Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley in a lights out match, Full Gear 2019. Now this, I'll be honest, was a hard one for me to not put as the first place, one of my all-time favourite matches in AEW history, and I've gone back and watched it so many times. When Moxley debuted in AEW, he decided to go after arguably the biggest name in the company at the time, Kenny Omega. They attacked each other over the next couple of weeks, and the match was announced for the Full Gear pay-per-view. But because of the violence leading up to this match, it was booked as an unsanctioned match, aka a lights out match, as Tony Khan knew just how much these guys hated each other and didn't want AEW to be held responsible for what they would do to each other during the match. And to be honest, this was a smart decision by the boss. Moxley and Omega literally used whatever weapons that they could find to try to hurt each other. We had steel chairs, trash cans, tables, steel chains, broken glass, tacks, and my absolute favourite, a barbed wired broom. That's right, Omega leaned into his cleaner gimmick from New Japan Pro Wrestling and swept Moxley's back with a barbed wire wrapped broom. At one point, the match spilled to the outside and up the ramp. The Young Bucks appeared and Omega asked for them to bring it out. Of course, he was referring to a metal frame that was wrapped completely in barbed wire. A bed of barbed wire, if you will. Omega picked up Moxley for a one-winged angel, but he wriggled free and managed to hit Omega with a suplex off the stage, which saw both guys sunken into the bed of barbed wire. After both guys were dragged out by referees, the Young Bucks, Hangman Page, and pretty much anyone that was nearby, Omega nailed Moxley with a V-trigger, which would see them crash through a lighting fixture, Omega clipping his forehead on the way through. Back in the ring, and the mayhem continued. Mox cut away the ring padding, revealing the hard wooden planks below. Mox then hit a paradigm shift onto the planks for a near fall, and Omega then hit one himself on Moxley, but was also unable to get the victory. Omega then went to the top rope and attempted a Phoenix Splash, which Mox avoided, and Omega landed face first into the hard planks below. Another paradigm shift later, and Jon Moxley picked up the victory against Kenny Omega. So if that was number 2, what could be number 1 and the greatest match in AEW Full Gear history? Well, no further than just last year. Swerve Strickland versus Hangman Page in a Texas Death Match of Full Gear 2023. Well, what can be said about these two? Probably the greatest feud in AEW history so far. You generally feel that these two absolutely despise each other, a thing that gets lost a lot nowadays in the world of professional wrestling. There's no chance you'll see a photo of these two guys hanging out whilst in the middle of a blood feud. This is one of those matches that seems to somehow anger the nerds that don't even actually watch the product. So this was just after the storyline where Swerve had invaded Hangman's home. So we got to see a more sadistic version of Page that we hadn't yet seen in AEW, or to be fair, even in Ring of Honor or New Japan. He used a staple gun all over Swerve's body, even attaching some of his kids' artwork with it, and drank drips of his opponent's blood in one of the absolute scenes of the year. He then sprayed the blood up into the air, which became an absolute iconic photograph. Like the previous match on our list, this was a match of epic violence, with both guys trying their best to really hurt their opponents with whatever weapons that they could get their hands on. And in the end of this match, it's seen an avalanche, a rolling senton, a pile driver, and a deadeye onto barbed wire from Hangman, plus a buckshot lariat with barbed wire wrapped around Swerve's head like a crown. But that didn't end the match, as Prince Nana pulled the challenger to the outside with his feet standing firmly on the ground, breaking the 10 count. Brian Cage then came out to attack Hangman Page, hoping to give Swerve the upper hand, but was eventually fought off. Hangman would even put Prince Nana through a table on the outside with a deadeye. It opened the door though for Swerve Strickland to hit Hangman Page from behind with a cinder block. As Page stared, Strickland tied a metal chain around Hangman's neck, flipping him over the ropes and choking him out on the ring post to pick up the victory in one of the absolute matches of the year for 2023, one of the absolute matches of Full Gear's history, and one of the absolute matches of AEW's history as a company. So there you have it. That is our top 5 Full Gear matches. Do you agree with our list? Let us know in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget to hit that like, leave us a comment, and subscribe to the wrestling group today.